Welcome back, Palians. This is Randy from Sleepy Guitar, and today we're going to go over some tips and tricks to elevate your decor and make your plot better than before. So, this update has brought a lot of, downtime, but also a lot of fun and awesome holiday cheer. And I gotta tell you, not only is this sweater rockin', but these winter light red presents, or presents in general, are the best thing that they have put in the game so far. So let's get right into it, and I'm going to show what you can do to really winterize your house. So I don't know, I know a lot of you have probably tried this already, or probably have figured this out already, but for the people that haven't, I definitely wanted to show. So as you can tell, when you're putting the snow into your house, you can get pretty close, but it definitely just doesn't feel the same with parts not being covered, and really feels kind of just not connected with how snow would fall, right? One of the great things about these presents is that they actually act like floor tiles in the sense that you can stack anything on them. So we're gonna take this ice patch and we're just gonna sit it right on top of this present. So obviously in its current stage, if we just go ahead and move this present over here, let's go ahead and sink it in. So as you can tell already, you can sink it in pretty solidly, even over the stairs, to kind of give you that look where it's really fallen down. Not only has it fallen down on the stairs, but it's kind of cascading from the home, right? So you're gonna look at it and you're gonna say, okay, well that's jank. I mean, I get people's cameras are up here, but that's not gonna look good. So what are we going to do to fix that? We are actually going to take the other snow pieces, such as this mound. And by the way, you can do this in grid mode, but I find hitting Z and kind of doing the free space is a lot nicer and a lot easier. So as you can tell, you can still clip it into the house, and then you can kind of go over and make it connect. So you're going to kind of get that less glitchy look. So now we're going to go ahead and take the snowdrift and we're just going to add it right here. And obviously your mileage may vary. You might come up with way better designs than me. Like for example, I definitely did that wrong. So we're going to move that out and we are going to see if we can get this one in here to where it doesn't look terrible. That doesn't look bad. So then we're going to use this here. Let's see how much we can glitch it. And then we're going to take another one and see if we can kind of push it into this to kind of round it out. And there you go. So obviously, take your time with this. This is a very quick, tips and tricks tutorial. You can make this look better. You can make it look 1,000 times better. You don't have to use the ice patch on top. You could use the snow mound, the snowdrift, whatever you think is great. I have seen so far a few people do it all the way around the house, do it all the way around their entire plot. And if you have the item limit for it and you want to make a snowball fight area, I think that's one thing that can be really great. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is elevating your flower beds. So obviously we don't have raised flower beds in the game. Putting flowers on the ground like this and just having them there doesn't really look cohesive, doesn't make it look like that kind of flower bed option that we want. A great thing about this patch is it's now let us be able to use these bellflower ones. Before, obviously, we couldn't elevate them. They're just not placeable on any other objects. But because of these presents acting like a ground object, it's definitely made it a lot easier to now be able to use them. So obviously I start by placing the log cabin fence one by one directly with each other. I don't like the look of the open because obviously if you look right here, you're gonna see that I just have this sitting on a present and it's not gonna be as aesthetically pleasing. So we're gonna go ahead and push this over to the corner. Once again, you could use grid mode. I personally don't like to because I really do enjoy being able to push it as far as I want it rather than it just kind of being locked into grids. So one of the greatest things is this Ravenwood flower planter and these homestead stools. You can go ahead and actually put this right here. I would suggest putting it out as far as you can. Then taking one of your starred smaller fish aquariums, putting it all the way at the back, taking a Homestead medium lamp and putting it on top of there. What that's going to do is at night, and even really during the day a little bit, it is really going to make it pop with that bright light behind it. So now we're going to turn off grid mode, and we're going to put this into each other a little bit. Let's pull it back some, and then lock it in. So as you can tell, you can kind of get what we're going with this. You can use multiple different types of flowers, and I'll show you my plot in a second here to really kind of show you what it can be. And in fact, you know, you might say, Randy, you're not going to edit this. Nah, we're not professional here, okay? We're just trying to play Palia. So this is what it can turn out to be. And I'm not saying this is amazing or beautiful, even though we know it is, but this is kind of what you can get, right? So you can kind of tell by looking in here, and I definitely need to do a better job hiding these in the front. I just haven't went back to finish them. We're using a lot of different stuff. So just to kind of give you an idea, I went ahead and opened this up. Right here is pretty much the majority of plants and flowers you can get in the game, and kind of how I have them set up. So we've got the Dragontide Orchard Planner, the Homestead Reed Planner, we're using end tables, we're using the barrels. Anything you can get your hands on that make things stackable, you can use. And once again, I'm telling you, buy a lot, if you can afford it, of those red presents, or the presents in general. I know they have varying heights, and I believe they're all stackable, because you are not going to want to miss out on that. All right, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to elevate maybe a central square area. So in my main plot, I'm working on a central square area, kind of like a remembrance garden, if you will, but also just a centralized area of just like, wow, that's a centerpiece. The biggest thing for me is I love the fountains, and I used 5 fountains. I made it look pretty decent, but there was really nothing making it pop. That's where these beautiful best in the game items come in handy. Once again, using the presents stacked on top of each other, we are going to take one of these grand fountains and we are going to put it right on top. So right now, you have a beautiful fountain display where the middle one is elevated and it looks gorgeous. So we're going to take the other fountains and we're going to put them as close as we can under it. Now, obviously, it's probably not going to be straight. It's probably not going to be that centered, but we're going to do the best we can for the video. But obviously, in your own plot, if you want to do something like this or something similar, I'm sure you'll spend a lot more time on it. At this point, it doesn't really matter. You can do one of these to kind of block that off from seeing. What I would recommend, honestly, now that I've put them close, of course, is probably using these fence pieces to fully block it off so no one can see under it. If you don't care that it's floating, and if you're like, whatever, I don't care if somebody sees the present, then obviously you can leave as is. But I think this kind of gives you a good idea of what it can be and what it can look like with an elevated design. And this goes for anything. You can use it on furniture. You can use it on flowers. Anything that your little heart desires. All right, now for the next one, one of the coolest things I found lately is actually item clipping. So if you look at this right here, you can probably already tell that this is the Homestead Tree Planter, and normally you're not going to be able to sit this up here. And as I'm showing you now, you still can't sit it up here. So the great thing about this, well, oops, spoiler. The great thing about this is, once again, we're utilizing the present. So obviously, normally I start from the ground up, but this one is and can be a little frustrating to do. So really, it's up to you how bad you want this. You pretty much want to line up, like, for example, a Homestead wall shelf, and I'm just using the Homestead stuff to kind of match. So I'm using a Homestead large dresser as well. So you want to put this over here. What you're going to do first is you're going to take the Homestead tree planter and you're going to put it on top of the present. So once again, utilizing that kind of ground space, and then we're going to take it and we're going to try to just put it on the edge of this shelf. Now, as you can tell, we cannot just glitch this in here and put this here. It's not going to work. So that is where the item clipping comes in handy. Now, from what I can tell, one of my community members, R&B Eternal, showed me this. Oh, and also shout out to Kruja, who showed me the previous flower bed trick. With this, you actually take one of the flying bugs or any of the bug cages that looks like this. And I'm sure, like I said, you can use more, you can elevate it depending on where you want it. But for the sake of this tutorial specifically, this is the one that works. You're gonna wanna line it up pretty close to where when you bring it on top of it and clip it down, it goes to where you want it on the wall. So let's move this a little bit closer. And obviously this is gonna take some time to get used to, some time to really be perfect for what you want it to be. So the main attraction here is you're going to drop it on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, and you're going to be left clicking the whole time, and eventually it should actually clip to it. So let's go ahead and try it. Now, I might zoom this part up because sometimes it can take a few minutes, and understandable if you're like, no, that's not for me, no thank, not worth. There we go. So it didn't take a few minutes, and that actually is even better before. It's right at the wall, and look how good that looks. So you're utilizing a shelf, the present, the Homestead tree planter, and the Homestead large dresser. You're glitching items together, and you don't need a second person for it, all thanks to that clipping technique. Now, other people have said this can work on the fireplace. I have not personally gotten to work on the fireplace. I know we all want to hang the stockings on the fireplace. I have not gotten it to work yet. So that's definitely something you can look into. Now, for the last one, I kind of already have it set up here, and let me run around the corner of the house and show you. This is really for anybody that wants the Christmas wreaths hanging in the window. I'm almost positive there's better ways to do this, but for the sake of the video, it's just something I saw right before making this video, so I wanted to show it. Once again, you can see the presents. Basically, what I've done is stack the presents in between the doorway. And I will show you that now. All right, let's move this. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna stack the presents, and when you stack the presents, you are actually gonna stack them as close and straight as you can, and it's going to allow you to put the wreath on there. So once you get the wreath on the present that you want, you could always like move this present around, for example, put it on something lower, put it on something higher. So relatively easy. What you're gonna wanna do is you're going to want to get another house piece and have it open up to this doorway. You're going to then put it directly in the middle of the doorway, and you'll be able to tell if it works is when you go to H, if you right click to recall that house piece, if it says, do you want to take all of the stuff in this thing and put it in your inventory, you know you did it wrong and you need to bring it further into the hallway. If it lets you pick up that side of the house, then you know you've done it correctly. And as you can see, it's glitched in the middle between the house, so that way the wreath shows outside. Now, obviously, this is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing, so clearly you can then take a bookshelf or something like that, go into Z, and put it as far back as you can, and obviously hide it. Now, not saying you're gonna wanna do this, not saying this is the best thing in the world, but this really does show you the possibilities of what we can do with these new items, and honestly, just glitching stuff together. But look, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here. If you liked any of this stuff in the video, if you liked how poorly edited this was and how shoddy this was, please like and subscribe. And remember, you can find us for real life shenanigans with me and Rel on our co-stream twitch.tv/sleepykatara. Yes, we have German Shepherds. Yes, we have love. And yes, we have adventures on Palia together. Thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful rest of your holidays.